Oh, I see the names popping in. Hi, Diana. How are you? I'm trying not to flash anybody. Hi, Queen to you, Zoe. What? Pretending to... What? You'll have to spell that out to me. Hi, Jackie. Hi, Nikki. Oh, from England. How exciting. That is so exciting. I want to go. I want to be there. How to keep persisting when it comes to weight loss. I keep getting discouraged. Let me ask you, why do you get discouraged? And I don't mean that sarcastically. I mean that sincerely. Because of looking at myself. Okay. So, like looking in the mirror, right? Okay, so first of all, think of it as you see yourself every single day. So you're not seeing the nuances of changes that are happening to you from moment to moment to moment to moment. They don't stand out to you like they would someone who doesn't see you every day. So think about it. When you look in the mirror and you're not loving what you see, or you're not loving the progress, then think of it as, no. What if that's just you viewing an old self, an old reality, an old identity? Because who's the seer behind the eyes? Pure unadulterated consciousness, which is what? If it's pure unadulterated, it means it's unconditioned, right? Your true self, the I am, God. From there, everything is a layer of conditioning, right? Another way of saying that is a different identity, a different version of yourself. Some people like to say the character. You never stop being the character. Just so we know, we're always in some semblance of a state of consciousness. Always. There are so many levels of consciousness, levels of awareness. We're not going to get to the top until we croak. But anyway, so your body is changing. Everything is changing. Literally, from moment to moment to moment to moment. So do the little things, like don't be getting on the scale all the time. Don't do that. Those numbers are irrelevant. You didn't mention the scale. I'm just saying that to you is just a piece of advice. Don't get on there and discourage yourself. You see yourself as you want to be and know that you are that now, because technically you really are that now, right now, because all we ever have is the now moment. Remember that. Would you recommend just moving on if the 3D is showing him ignoring me? You're probably asking the wrong person that question, because I am not someone who gives up on what she wants. When I want something, I want it. Okay? But if you are someone that, fine, I'll move on to something else. If that's more your current identity, then you have to do what feels good to you. But as just a general question on conscious manifestation, I probably wouldn't. I also wouldn't accept and tolerate behavior that does not align with who I'm choosing to be. We're always choosing to be someone. We're always choosing to be a version of ourselves. Always. Every single moment. So think of it as the version of you that is perceiving him to be ignoring you in reality is a choice. Doesn't feel like a choice. I know it doesn't. That kind of thinking is what 7 years ago Kim would be hung up on too. I would be very frustrated over what my 3D was showing me, especially how he would be showing up. Frustrate the shit right out of me. So I understand. So please don't think that I'm just flippantly like, just give up on him, move on. I'm not. I'm saying at every given moment that you are perceiving reality. Remember, we're always perceiving reality. It's how we intermingle with reality. We are experiencing reality through the filter of an identity, through the filter of a state of consciousness, a version of ourselves. Always. Always. Even you being of the understanding that your consciousness is the I am, who truly is the seer behind the eyes, the beingness. Even that, even thinking you're stripping yourself down to just the I am, there will always be another state of consciousness. Always. We move through them so fluently. The key to manifesting is knowing who you want to be and not letting anything in 3D reality deter you from that. But that might sound like like a stubbornness, but it's not meant to be. I'm not trying to give you that kind of a vibe. It's an absolute relaxed, calm, yet confident knowing of yourself to be the I am, and that everything in reality must become exactly what you want it to be. So in other words, you not having to do really anything in reality. So as far as like thinking about giving up, why? Do you really want to be in a relationship with that person? And if you do, turn your head away from what you think is your problem, because it's not a problem, but you're perceiving it as one. So it appears to be one. But the more you turn away from what you think the problem is, and instead remember who you are, the quicker that problem, that thing that's bothering you, dissipates, changes, leaves, whatever words feel good to you. It stops being a problem. He stops ignoring you. Now, the way I'm describing it, it sounds like just hurry up, get over it. But you're still human. So we still have that mix in the batter, the part where we have feelings and emotions. They're still there. But you are not the feelings and emotions. Your consciousness, right? You're the conceiver of the conception. You're it. So if we're experiencing something that isn't what we prefer, we stop trying to analyze it. We stop trying to figure out what's wrong. And instead we go within and we know ourselves to be. And that can be as simple as just knowing yourself to be source. It'll still change because you're not fixated on the problem. This is where people get tripped up. They find out about conscious manifestation. They find out that, holy shit, my conscious awareness is the I am. Holy shit, if you don't know what that is, that's God, universe, higher power, source energy, moonbeams, whatever you think it is. That's who you really are. You're the conceiver. And everything else is conception. Everything else. Even the you, knowing yourself to be you, is the conception. You're the conceiver behind the conception. So when reality isn't as we prefer, we don't want to analyze, judge it, give it more meaning. It's useless to give it more meaning. Instead, turn inward. Remind yourself of who you are. And it will change because it must reflect what the conceiver is choosing to be aware of from moment to moment to moment to moment. I hope that helped. And thank you for the gifts and stuff. Thank you for the hearts, all that lovely stuff. Thank you very much. So it's deciding who you are every day. Yeah, but don't think of that as like another part-time job. You're doing it whether you're aware of doing it. You're doing it. Do you see what I'm trying to say? So this doesn't have to be technically a new technique. You're doing it whether you're consciously thinking it or not. I know that sounds weird. I know that when we find manifestation, it sounds like it's some brand new wonderful thing in our life. Holy shit, I can get the things I want. Oh, this is wonderful. How do I do it? Well, you look into who you are being. You figure out who you are in that moment so you can see the difference between who you are versus who you want to be. But all of that is conceptions. It's figuring out you're the conceiver first that helps, meaning God, I am. So, what just happened here? So you've been deciding who you are from moment to moment to moment to moment your entire life. Every day you wake up to, more than likely, the same reality you fell asleep to until you wake up to knowing that you have a choice in that. Right? Every day you've had an anchor in the reality that, let's say, that you were in when you found conscious manifestation. You've anchored yourself to it. How? By identity. By knowing yourself to be whatever your life is in reality at that moment. So from the moment you discover that you have a choice in what you can have and what you can experience, you become aware of the who you want to be. Now, that might translate to you that you have to tell yourself every day who you are. You might have to until you get into the understanding where it really clicks for you, so it just doesn't feel like a bunch of words coming off some old lady on TikTok. Where it clicks that, oh my God, I don't have to do anything. I just have to know or wake back up to being source. And from there, that spark of desire, we are always going to have desire, which is another reason why you will always be in a state of consciousness, right? Is knowing that when that spark of desire, let's say whatever it is you're manifesting is your current spark of desire, from that moment on, you know that the answer to you having that desire is yes. And there's nothing else to worry about. There's nothing, else to be worried about, to fret over. And when you're starting to get doubtful thoughts or fearful thoughts, which is totally normal, that when you do, you don't feel the pressure to have to fight off those thoughts anymore because of who you are as source. I hope all of that makes sense. So is it like you're making a decision every day? It can be, until you are in that knowing yourself. And listen, if you're not at that knowing right now, that doesn't mean this isn't working for you. Okay? It's still working and you're still manifesting no matter what. You just might have to remind yourself. I like to say, return to your decision. Remember who you are. Thank you again for all the hearts and stuff. Do you see what I mean? What if I won't have my SB? What if you won't? Is that an option? What if you won't? Are you asking me that in a way like, what if it doesn't work? What if I can't get my SB? Well, I'm here to tell you, yes, you can. So what if you won't really isn't an option unless you decided that was an option for you. I love you so much, bestie. Eric. How are you doing? Feel like it's been a million trillion years since I've seen you. I saw me again. Shut up. Oh, I know it's a shift and I cannot wait to hear. Girl, your experiences, your dreams, your downloads. Seriously. I am very excited to hear. So I got to talk to you and give you the I told you so moment. I had huge manifestation. Oh, I cannot wait to hear. We still need to talk anyway, my friend. Yeah, so exciting. I want more. You're going to give more. That's not even a question. I can't wait to share. I can't wait to hear. If y'all, we're talking about the channel membership. That's the YouTube channel membership called the Exclusive Lives. That's what she's talking about. That's a group. It's a channel membership group that we get together every single Tuesday night at 8 p.m.-ish Eastern Standard Time in a private Zoom group. It's called the Exclusive Lives. And you don't have to get on camera or get on the mic if you don't want to. You can just sit back and listen. That's the group. We only talk success stories, tips, and tricks. And when people have amazing internal shifts, that's a success story too. As well as I want to hear about all your experiences, the downloads, you know, your little light bulb moments. I love hearing about them. So anyways, that's what we're talking about. I don't want to make you feel like we're talking about something that you don't know about. Wait, after my SP told me he didn't feel anything for me, etc., my mom told him to leave me alone and never write to me again. He deleted and blocked me, and he told my mom that he promised to leave me alone. What should I do? I love this man. Okay. So, first of all, I'm just going to tell you that because of this experience that you had, that, you know, your mom was in the equation and he made a promise to your mom, that this probably feels like such an impossible situation because there's, you know, extra parties involved with it. But I promise you that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I see people get blocked and unblocked all the time. I have coached people who, again, and I'm not trying to sell you coaching. I'm not trying to get you to coach with me. I'm not. I mean, you're welcome to, but I'm not trying to sell my coaching here today. We're just chatting today. But I have seen situations where SPs have declared that they were never going to have anything to do with, you know, the other person ever again. And of course, being blocked is a thing. You know, I've seen people, their SP went off and married someone else. And I've seen all of those circumstances, boom, gone. And they get back together. I see it all the time. I talk to people every single day. So I know this probably feels like a permanent in your way block or barrier. It's not. Think of it as this. Now, I don't know what your, you know, spiritual upbringing was, but if you have an idea of what you believe God is, and that can be universe, so God or universe, whatever you believe that is, do you think that there can ever be on this physical 3D dimension, this 3D planet of ours or reality, blah, 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 on the planet Earth, do you really think that someone or something or any kind of circumstance is bigger than God, bigger than the universe, more powerful than the creator of everything? There is nothing that can stop. Every manifestation, every single one, no matter what it is, let's just say every manifestation had its own little personality, even though it really doesn't, but I'm just trying to make this simpler. Every single manifestation has its own exact, perfect, effortless plan to come about in 3D reality. Every single one does. So if your desire is to be back in contact with that person or be back in a relationship, and you just concern yourself with who you know yourself to be, you watch as things in reality begin to rearrange themselves to make it a truth for you. You'll see. And again, you don't have to buy anything from me. You just start applying that in your life. Start it today. And you're going to have moments where fears come in, doubts come in. In my opinion, that's totally normal to have those. It's because we have random thoughts. We don't control the thoughts that enter our mind. They just come in. They just pop in. When we are controlling thoughts, that's when we are consciously choosing, selecting thoughts. But from there, boom, 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 they just come in all on their own. And they're supposed to. That's how we choose which self we're lighting up today, which identity we're lighting up today. That's all. So start doing that, and you'll see, first of all, your mom will end up warming up and forgiving your SP, and your SP will get his mental shit together and be back in contact with you. Okay? Sounds so simple the way I'm delivering it. Now add in your emotions and feelings, because you're going to have them, and that's okay. So it might not always feel so easy like I'm describing it, but it can be. It can be. And you can't look at the days you don't feel great, the days maybe you're down or crying or whatever. Don't worry about them. Let the tears out and return. In other words, get back up on your feet and remember who you are. Nothing is bigger or badder than the I am. And that is what your consciousness is. Okay? Well, I really love you, Joy. Thank you. So thoughts are possibilities, and our freedom of choice is by selecting a thought to persist in. Essentially, yes. Yes. See, our human mind, this is why I get so petty over wording sometimes. I know, and I own it. I accept that a part of my identity because I enjoy it. I can be petty. Let me explain my pettiness. This is when I get like a little frustrated. If I hear anybody disparage Neville Goddard, it infuriates me. Number one, because like the videos that have come across my screen are from creators I have never seen before, first of all. This is going to have a point. This is going to come back to a point. Videos where Neville Goddard, the way he taught manifesting was so much longer. It's harder his way. He has you thinking about just states of consciousness, just that, when he's like skipping over the idea of identity. What do you think a state of consciousness is, first of all? It's identity. Okay, but put that aside. All right. When you come in to the understanding that your consciousness is God, Neville would call it Christ consciousness, the I am, aka the name of God. I am, okay? So Neville told us that we were God, too. I can get real petty about that. Anyway, not to you, Betty, but just videos that are telling me that person clearly never read everything by Neville Goddard. You read his early books. Well, hello, he was a human too. He evolved. But from day one, he talked about our consciousness as being God. Just saying. So from there, being that you are that your consciousness is pure, unadulterated, aka unconditioned, right? Cannot add on to or expand or take away from the absolute, also known as God. Because of that equates. So if your consciousness is that God, as Neville clearly taught us all, can you tell I have loyalty to Neville Goddard? I will love him for the rest of my life. I wish he was still here with us on the physical plane. Just saying. Are you guys sick of me being petty and bitching about this? I'm sorry. So I can't help it. I'm just choosing not to. I'm aware. But Neville made it pretty clear that our consciousness is God. Hello. That the thoughts, just like you mentioned, the thoughts that come into our mind, and you notice sometimes you could be having the best day ever, loving your life, feeling on top of the world, and then one shitty thought comes in and just sucks the life right out of you. And you go right back down, feeling like shit, worrying about your life, blah, 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 blah. Was it just the thought that made us feel this way? No. That was us, in a sense, selecting it. Think of that. State shift. Identity shift. Very quick. They happen so quickly. Boom, 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 boom. We're moving through all of our states of consciousness. Think of, if you are, I'm sorry if you're younger and don't know this show, because I don't even know if it's still a show, but there used to be a show called The Wheel of Fortune. And you know, like the spinning wheel thing? Think of that spinning wheel and each of the little, I don't know, little stickers it can land on as it's spinning around. Think of each one of those, and we're going to pretend this wheel is the infinite wheel, so it contains everything, every possible version of you. Think of that spinning wheel going around you every given second. And where the little stopper stops, and we get to consciously choose where it stops. We don't always feel like we can consciously choose it, but we are. Just saying. Where it stops is who you know yourself to be in that one little moment. But that wheel, like, so when it stops to highlight, it starts right back up again. Boom, 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 spinning. So in other words, creation is finished. All versions of you. Another way of wording that is all possible outcomes of you and your life are already within you on that spinning wheel. So this is what it means when we hear it is done, because creation is finished. That desire is already yours. That desire is a promise. It's because the you that has it is on that spinning wheel. Think of your consciousness as sitting in the center of the wheel. I like saying, using a diagram of the sun, and you're the center of the sun, and all the little sun rays are all the different versions of you. But we can use the spinning wheel. I'm just saying, trying to make it easy. So that centered you is your unconditioned consciousness, aka God, the I am, that Neville clearly taught us about. Clearly. He didn't keep that a secret. Okay? Knock, knock. Wake up. Just saying. Okay. So, I'm being petty to creators. I actually don't even know their channel names. So they just, anyway, that's just the bitch in me. So, so think of those random thoughts that come in that you're allowing to bother you in that quick little 1 second moment. That was a stopper on that version of yourself. But let me show you how this is not a bad thing. This does not mean that you've messed anything up, you've ruined your manifestation. No, it's just in that moment where the stopper landed, the thought you agreed with and decided to respond to. Right? Not by respond, I just mean the body responded to it. Let's say it was a thought like, your SP is never coming back, and you got that initial anxiety, yuck feeling, blah, blah, blah. It caught your attention briefly. It just means in that moment that, boop, that's who I think I am, just in that moment. But as soon as you are, you could say distracted, or when you remember that you're the center, that you are the I am, wiped clean, spinning wheels moving again, and you get to choose again. Do you see what I mean? Let me tell you something else too. This is keeping it real. Every single person who ever, we'll say the mystics, the greats, the ancient ones. I would call Neville an ancient one, but he wasn't that old. But I just love him. But anybody before us making content about manifestation, they were all telling us the same damn thing in their own way. You know what I mean? Everyone was saying kind of the same thing, using a little bit of different wording. And that's okay, because all that little different wording per person was useful to whoever was listening to it at that moment in time, because that's where they were in awareness. So it made sense to them at that moment. See what I mean? That makes sense. Like, here's the petty. Like, I've seen videos of people kind of shitting all over the law of assumption, which, guess what? That's what the law of assumption community, that's what we used to do to the law of attraction. And you want to know what I've learned over the course of my own evolvement? You see, I don't take a shit on the law of attraction anymore. I don't make fun of it anymore because I see the bigger picture. It was just a different way of explaining the same thing of what your consciousness is. So no matter what we end up calling it, if we're going to make fun of the law of assumption now, we're going to call it something else like the law of I am. They were all saying the same thing. Open your mind. See the bigger picture. Get out of the conception and remember that you're the conceiver. If you're experiencing it, where did that come from? What's it a reflection of? Hello? See what I'm saying? Okay. Enough bitching. Yes, be the awareness. Yes. They're all stepping stones to get further into it. I'm fine, Rachel. I'm just being petty Kim for a little while, because sometimes that puts me in a good mood. Well, that was so nice, Melanie. I am. Thank you very much. Can you please help with the idea of the 3D lagging? How do we think of it? Okay. Taking into account that the idea of linear time is just a concept that humanity has agreed upon to experience or make sense of frames. Frames of, we could say, timelines, frames to reality, frames to just a moment. But what we think of like as in linear time, we'll just say, okay, by linear time standards, where I am in the world, it's 5:21. Might be totally something else on another place on this planet, which, we could go down that whole rabbit hole of if we're all, nope, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to be petty there. Okay, so linear time really isn't real. We just use it as a way to make sense of the moments we think we're experiencing, the ever new now moment. Okay? So, and I say this, I don't mean this in a like Mean Girls way or like, oh my God, I'm so much better at this than you. I don't mean it like that, but it might sound that way. Okay, so wherever you are in your understanding of consciousness, your perception of what your 3D reality presents you, it might be different than the person sitting next to you. Now, don't panic. This is not a bad thing. But it's all wrapped up in what you believe about reality. So I'll give you an example. Let's pretend that you're manifesting a specific person. And let's say in reality, what you perceive is no contact. You guys aren't talking. You haven't seen your specific person in, we'll say, like a month. You might, because of how you perceive reality, you might look at reality as, well, it's kind of on a lag. It's lagging because I'm doing my, let's say my manifestation techniques. I'm stepping into the understanding of who I am versus who I am choosing to be. Reality doesn't look like it's changed, so it's on some kind of a time lag. Is there anything wrong in that thinking? No. That will be comforting for whoever hears it, who needs to perceive it that way. In other words, who needs to hear that. Now, someone sitting next to you might hear that and say, well, that doesn't make sense. How long am I going to have to wait? If time isn't real, why would there be a lag? Well, what if I said that there is no lag? What if I said that, no, everything is actually instant? Now, the person who's experiencing what they believe is a lag, that might not make any sense to, and that might even trigger someone who believes they're experiencing a time lag, because giving reality the excuse that it's on a time lag might, like I said, might be comforting for someone else. Is that going to stop their manifestation from coming? No, no. But what will end up happening is their own conscious awareness will evolve to the understanding that everything really is instant. Don't start panicking, because understanding intellectually that everything is instant or everything is the now is different than truly knowing that everything is now. But let me help you bridge that gap. So I just lost an earring. Might as well just take the other one out. So in my content, at least for the last three-ish years, I kind of center what I share, what I teach around making a decision. That manifestation is just a decision, because it is. You're deciding who you are from moment to moment to moment to moment, knowing first that you are the I am. First, then the version of self that you choose. So knowing that, understanding that when you make the decision, so we'll say, if you're still manifesting a specific person, you're making the decision that you are now the self that has the desire. In that moment that you know yourself to be it, it is right now. It's instant. You instantly are that self. Now, however, depending on your perception of reality might look different. Now, for some, maybe they looked out at reality and reality still looks the same. Things might very well still appear to be the same, but it's not the same reality. That was instant. It changed instantly with you. But bear in mind that we're moving through states of consciousness all the time, all the time, all the time, all the time. Remember that spinning wheel we talked about? So what helped me bridge the gap so that I could get out of that thinking? Because I used to think it too, right? When I first started, even if you went to some of my very early videos, I would have talked about the time lag, because I believed in that time lag. I think it's all in how we define it versus what we think is happening versus, all right, I'm going to take you, I don't want to confuse you. Because I believe that everything is now, coupled with being of the understanding that my true self is the I am. And from there, it's all about my awareness of being. Who am I really? Because we're always going to experience 3D physical reality in the meat sack. We might be able to make, cosmetic changes to the meat sack, but it's always this meat sack or this self, as in just Kimberly, okay? So you're always in a state, always. You decided to be the version of yourself that has the desire. You look out to reality. This version of Kimberly might now perceive reality as technically everything looks the same. But this is the version of her that understands that everything is now. So she sees reality as, so every single thing that presents itself is all connected to me having it now. Now this is more of the science-y side of it. So if you're like me and you don't need to rely on what science says in order to manifest, good. But for those of you who like that side, let me just say, well, even scientists say that we aren't seeing everything that's actually in reality. We don't see it all, let alone what the reticular activating system filters out. So think of it like a filter on a filter. We're only seeing a small portion of reality. So for those of you that think it's on a time lag, well, actually that manifestation was always there. But judging by what filter you were experiencing or seeing reality as, you couldn't see it. You couldn't perceive it. Does that make sense? I hope. Thank you, Priya. I do love Hello Kitty. Does all of that make sense, or did I confuse you more? Because I don't want to confuse y'all. You talking about the I am makes me want to get into meditation. Guess what, my friend? I don't know what you believe meditation is, but let me just give you comfort. If you think meditation is something where you have to go sit with your legs crisscrossed and, sit in the perfect pose, no. Meditation is happening all the time. Anytime that you have focused thought. Like, you ever sit and fold laundry and your mind is off somewhere else? That can be meditation. See what I'm saying? You can, this is like the easiest way for me to describe, you can disconnect from where or what version of self you believe you are. You can disconnect from what appears to be reality and go within and know who your true self is. You can do that anytime. Anytime. There is no limitation to your knowing yourself as the I am. That never leaves you. That kind of a question, let me just say, is exactly why I won't continue talking about the character separately from the I am, because you are never separate from it. It just leads to confusion, in my opinion. Do you see what I'm saying? You never stop being the I am. You're never not connected. You don't need some outside tool or technique to connect to your true self as God, ever. It's always happening. It cannot be changed. Let me word it like that. It cannot be changed. It cannot be stopped. It cannot be cut off. It's always there. And I think of it as it's always there, gently, unconditionally loving you. Because it is you. So don't stress and think, oh my God, I have to go meditate or else I'm never going to get this. I'm never going to know really what the I am is. Yes, you will. Yes, you will. And technically, based off everything we just talked about, you already are that version of yourself. Now just be aware of it. And watch how everything starts lining up, downloads start coming in, and the awareness expands. See what I mean? How do we deal with reality not lining up with our manifestation? Just keep believing? Yes, I got a better question. How do you know that reality isn't lining up with your manifestation? How do you know that? Unless you're looking out at 3D reality and whatever you're seeing, okay, you're perceiving that as it's not aligning with my manifestation. And that's the thinking that we want to kind of snip. See, that kind of goes in the same thing of, there's a lag in the 3D. No, there's a lag if it feels good to you to believe that there's a lag. If that makes you feel more comfortable to think that there is a lag. You are the I am. What you decide goes. At all times. Now, don't get me wrong. I've been making manifestation content for quite a while. So I understand how all these different people like myself make videos and talk about conscious manifestation, that we can get ourselves kind of tripped up in thinking that whatever that person says is what I have to do to manifest. And that is not it at all. You're discovering for yourself what is the truth for you. See, this is why, when someone asks, how do I manifest the right way? Well, the right way is the way you decide it's working. And the sooner you get to the understanding of what your consciousness is, the sooner you're going to be released from the thinking that you have to compare yourself to others or do things everybody else's way. You're going to find out what works best for you. Going all in was the best advice Kim gave me. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Oh my God, Priya, it's you, Priya. I wasn't sure if it was you. How are you doing, my beautiful friend? And thank you for that lovely comment. That was very nice. I have missed you. I hope you're doing so well. Clearly, it sounds like you are. I'm very happy for you. Yes. Kiki, are you going to upload this to your YouTube? Yep. I'm doing so good. I'm always watching you still. I love that you're still there. I do. I know maybe it sounds weird, but I do kind of get like that mommy auntie thing about you guys, or big sister if you're closer in age to me. I do. I want you to get your desires. I get very, very happy and excited for you when you do. And I really do pay attention to who's here and asking questions and coming back and sharing all their successes. I give a shit and I am invested in your story. So I'm happy to hear from you. Since the beginning, since those bucket in the car days, oh my God. She's talking about my old YouTube videos where the cleaning bucket with the duster was hanging out of it in my back seat. Kim, I never catch you. I'm so happy you're on. You manifested it, my friend. Kim, don't you think how we view SP is important too? We always talk about our version of self. Yes, Joelle, I do. But can you see that how you view your specific person is all wrapped up as well in your own identity? So in other words, there's a version of you who already knows your specific person to be the version of them that, let's say, you prefer. That already exists. So it's about giving that identity focus, attention, awareness, knowing yourself as that. And you can, if it makes it easier, again, everything I'm saying, if it resonates, take it. If it don't, or if I'm saying something that just hasn't clicked yet, don't stress it. Don't worry about it. Keep doing what you're doing. That's what, you know what I mean? That's the vibe I want you to get off of me, because you are all, each individual person that's here today, you are all already evolving, growing, shifting, expanding your awareness in perfect timing. Everything, and I don't mean by linear time. You're all evolving into the selves you want to be, even if you don't really think you are. If you still feel like you don't understand everything, listen, all the understanding, all the downloads will come. They will. So anyway, yes, just to reiterate to her. Oh, I know I was going to say something different. You can, if you are already of the understanding that your consciousness is the I am. If you're already aware of that, and you, by just knowing that, feel comfortable that as the I am, you kind of already know what you want, or what version of your person that you want, because you're the I am. You simply being aware of that, we could call it a belief if you'd like, having that belief, then that will be true for you in reality. This is why I get petty when people take a shit on the law of assumption. Because no matter what, at the end of the day, it's what you assume to be true that will be true. No matter how many new words we throw into the mix, it all boils down to that. What you believe about yourself, even as you know yourself as the I am, you are still making assumptions, or else you would never ever have to correct yourself and remind yourself that you are the I am. No, you would stand in that perfectly. You would be perfectly unconditioned. Therefore, you would perfectly not have the limitations of any kind, like the meat sack as well. Just saying. Petty Betty is always here, okay? All right. Kim, you said my nickname for SP earlier. You said Kai Kai. Is that his name, Kai Kai? Or Kiki? Because I wasn't sure how to pronounce it correctly. So if I focus on self-concept, then me and SP will reconcile and get back together. If that's your belief, yes. Yes. And if it makes you feel better, I have seen that happen. I have seen people put just their focus on, we could say self-concept, or like I like to say version of self. It just feels easier for me. And not only their SP, but multiple X's, as well as a few new BBLs come in. Yes. Kim, please, can you help me? My SP is being distant and it's making me sad and crazy. Okay, why is it making sad and crazy? Why? What does this supposed distant... Now, listen, I believe you. I believe you're having your experience. I'm saying, what does this so-called distance really mean to you? What's the meaning you're giving it? So if we're feeling, would you say, sad and crazy? You're not crazy, first of all. You're feeling sad and it's making you feel anxious because they're seemingly acting distant. Okay, you're not only equating a feelings and emotions, you're equating that to it's meaning something more. It's meaning something bad, which is a habit we are learning to break. Right? We don't have to be afraid of our feelings and emotions. Just say we're also not shoving them down and pretending they're not happening either, right? We don't invalidate ourselves. But if SP is acting in a certain way that makes you uncomfortable, ask yourself why you're uncomfortable with it. And as you take that closer look, I would say observe the observer. Really ask yourself, why am I uncomfortable with this? What is this making me feel? Like, for example, let's say when SP acts distant, that makes me feel like he or she isn't in love with me anymore. He or she is not interested in the relationship anymore and just hasn't had the guts to tell me. Okay? So we're equating it to, we could say abandonment or, the loss of love. So that's what distance equates to you. Okay. We could, if we felt like it, take the time to figure out where the hell that belief came from, but it's not necessary to manifest, just keeping it real. So if they're acting distant and you're viewing it as, like I said, it's all just hypothetical, as they're disinterested, they're getting ready to leave me, they don't want this love anymore. Okay, can you see how that is just a cycle or a pattern of you protecting yourself? Maybe someone in the past hurt your feelings. So we could be, like comparing it to previous life experiences. And this is where we have to remember who we really are, who our consciousness is as source, and knowing that you have a choice to make. Do we want to keep aligning with that story, with that belief, and instead be the self we want to be? And how do we get to just be any self? We remember, kind of like think of it as, because we got a clean slate every single now moment. Every single now moment, the things that you believe are your past, are your history, as fucked up as this is going to sound, those are choices too. Because truthfully, you're connected to every possible outcome in either direction, let's say, in either direction of the past or the future. Every new moment, every new now moment really is we are wiping the slate clean. You can be any version of yourself you want to be because you already are that unconditioned consciousness as God, as the I am. So instead of focusing on what we're not liking, we could call that the problem, the circumstance. That doesn't need any more of our attention. We're aware it's there. Let's instead think about, contemplate, well, what if that wasn't happening? What if your person was being all sorts of, giving you attention and affection? What would it be like if you were actually in the relationship you want to be in, where you're actually happy and fulfilled? What would that feel like? Some of you might say, well, I don't know, because I've never had that. Yes, you do know. Yes, you do know. Do you want to know how I know that you know? Because you're God. Because you're the I am. Because you're connected to all there is at every given moment. You just weren't aware of it. So this isn't about conjuring up or forcing yourself to feel a feeling. This is instead you expanding your awareness to know who you really are. And from there, choosing who you want to be, the you in that loving, fulfilling, committed relationship. Another way of looking at it is, I just made a video about this today. A year or two ago, I made a video about make it your normal. It's your new normal. So the long form video is on my YouTube. Like I said, it's about a year to a year and a half ago I made that video. Who you want to be. I think some of us think, well, okay, when my manifestation comes, I'm going to be excited. So let me focus on that. Now, don't get me wrong. Of course you're going to be excited, but that's not going to be, that excitement isn't going to be there every single day. No, when something is just a normal part of your life, you see it as such. Normal. It's what happens every day. So what would it feel like if your every day was to be in a loving, fulfilling, committed relationship? You wouldn't have to think twice about it. You wouldn't have to wonder what they're thinking, what they're feeling. You wouldn't be afraid about losing them. You wouldn't be analyzing their every move. You would just be in a happy, mutually fulfilling relationship. So in other words, you just taking the time to ponder what that would be like is enough to actually get things to start changing. So the more we detach from reality, detaching just means allowing. You're not worrying. You're not trying to fix the 3D. Instead, we're focusing on the who we want to be. You close the door to the world of the senses. And instead, you go within. Does that make sense? I hope. Kim, what's your view on nervous system regulation when manifesting? I am not trying to sound petty on this answer. I'm just trying to be real. It is nothing but another thing to do to make us feel that we have to get that or have that in order to manifest. It's another thing to do. Now, in one respect, having a regulated nervous system feels good. Feels better to be chill, relaxed, calm, centered. So our overall well-being is important because it feels better. But it's not a requirement to manifest. Now, I know there are other schools of thought out there saying, well, if your nervous system isn't regulated, then what are you vibrating at? Because what you're vibrating at is what you experience in reality. Sounds more like limits to me. God is unconditional love. God is limitless. God is not flawed. God doesn't have rules. God doesn't have to achieve, not flawed. God doesn't have rules. God doesn't have to achieve certain things in order to have. We don't have to earn our way to, our manifestation. This is about knowing the law of being, the law of I am, which has no limits. So that's what I see it on. It's just another something to do in order to manifest. But if you personally enjoy regulating your nervous system, I would not pick on you. I would be like, oh, that's wonderful. If that feels good to you, great. But that's why you don't hear me I don't make videos on that at all. Let me just say too, and the reason why is because I want you to experience what I've experienced. And that is breaking yourself away from constantly looking outside of you on how to manifest. Always looking out here for one more thing to do. What the newest, most popular topic is. Let me do that. No, You've had it within you all along. It is your I amness. You already have the answers in front of you. There's nothing else to achieve. The law of being, the law of the I am, the law of assumption, essentially. It's already within you. The answers are already within. We don't need anything on the outside of us to help us manifest. We just need to know who we are. And yes, a calm nervous system, a regulated nervous system makes the physical body feel better. But if we're not careful, that can become another limit, another something required, when this is not the truth. No, I don't think I need it, Kim. It just helps me not spiral. So then you would be the person I would say, if it feels good, then keep doing it. If it helps you not spiral, but are you looking at spirals as something getting in the way of you having your desire? See what I mean? I think my boyfriend's home. Well, hello, Source. Yes. Yes, I have TikTok. You're here. Yay. Yep. Thank you for joining me from my YouTube channel. I appreciate you coming over here. Oh, yeah. Isn't she cute? You got a pit too? They're my favorite. Pit bulls are my favorite. All right, my friends. Were you standing behind me in that window? Did you get her something? Is that what? Come on, before she knocks everything over. Oh, boy. My boyfriend just brought a gift home for my child. Let's get the stuff off of it first. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Okay. All right. I suppose this is a perfect time for me to sign off because it's going to get loud in here because she has her new toy. Anyways, thank you very much for joining me here today. I appreciate it. I am intending on coming back here again during the week for another live stream, so I shall see you then. And remember who you are. Pure, unadulterated consciousness. I am. The answer is already within you, no matter what it is that you desire. It's already in here. Okay? All right. I'll see you all later this week.